Alright, welcome back. This is part 3 of the video series on working on a Nintendo cab, replacing some broken out pieces on the bottom. This is side 2. I went ahead and did everything we did in the second episode. Went ahead and put the biscuit joints in there, the Craig jig, pocket jig holes to pull it all together, and went ahead and sanded it down so the actual it's smooth between the transition between the two, getting ready for Bondo. In this episode, we're going to talk about actually getting the cabinet ready for paint and the process that I do to get a cabinet ready. First off, I wanted to go over a couple of things that you should have on hand. Assortment of sandpaper for sure. Mostly use in the beginning rough 120 grit. Then I also go to 220 grit, and then finally for my finish work before paint and in between paint layers, I do 320. So make sure you have a lot of those on hand. Should buy stock in those because I go through them like crazy. Next thing you want to do is go ahead and get yourself a random orbital sander. This spins in like many different directions, and it's so much better than the other palm sander. I do use one of those. I got one in here. Hang on a second, we'll go in here. Yeah, this is a traditional palm sander. I do use this a lot in like original like knockdown work. Like I used it a little bit when I was getting the new piece to match with the other. But the random orbital is the one that's going to give you the proper finish. Next up, you want to get yourself Bondo. This is the all-purpose putty. It's the same exact stuff as the car kind, same exact formula, everything. It's just in a different thing. So you can get this or the regular car Bondo. And also you got to get yourself a good quality primer. I use the Bullseye 2 multi-purpose latex. I have it tinted gray. They'll do that for you at Home Depot or Lowe's. And the key is to have a good primer, something that you can sand and that's thick enough. You can also use Kills. I've used Kills a lot. And it gives you a nice base finish. To what we're going to do later is wet sanding to get that Nintendo look. So we're going to go through the whole process of getting the cabinet ready. We're going to do some Bondo work, and then we're going to get ready to primer it. Next thing I like to do is go ahead and get my Bondo tools ready. They sell these Bondo, I guess they're like a spudger or scraper or something. I highly suggest these. These are so much better than working with a metal blade like that you would use to do like drywall mud. They're flexible. You can go around curves with them pretty easy, and the cleanup, the Bondo doesn't stick to it. So you know, you want to have it clean. You want to have that nice clean edge to give you straight lines. And also get a bunch of these razor blades. I use those a lot to go ahead and clean those up in between applications. And also, you know, if you got rough wood pieces sticking out, just use a razor blade, cut it out. And then I also shape the Bondo while it's still manageable. And I actually cut it and shape it sometimes with the razor blade. It saves you a lot on the sanding on the back end. So the first thing I like to do, even before I get everything started, once I got all my materials, is walk around the cabinet and just take a look at the places that I need to do. Like in this cabinet, I know I'm taking out these horizontal holes here. I'm going to go ahead and do that so the artwork won't have any dimples or anything. So what I do is I just circle areas that I know that I'm going to Bondo. It's no big deal because you're going to sand it off. And then I start going around the edge and looking like right here definitely need, get the shadow out of the way. Definitely got a roughed up edge here. So, you know, I just mark it and go around the cabinet and just find areas, divots, you know, circle them, things that want to hit. This cabinet's not in bad shape. Jen Hall was actually going to restore this, and she did a ton of work on it to begin with. So I'm just going through the areas that I see, like, you know, right here is another little rough edge on the back end, you know, and it saves so much time to go down it and see where you're going to actually add Bondo to, because this stuff dries fast and you got to work quick. So the big thing is if you have the X's and stuff, your eye is drawn to it and you're like, okay, quick, I can do it there. And that way you're not wasting a lot of Bondo. All right, so we're going to get into Bondo now. We're going to Bondo the cab. It's a two-part process. If you're new to Bondo, don't be afraid of it, because this stuff, I mean, it's easy to work with. You know, you got to move fast because you're on a very specified amount of time once you add the liquid hardener. But the worst case scenario, man, you sand it off and you start over again. So I'm using the all-purpose putty. Like I said, it's the same exact can as the car stuff that you get, but they try to make it so you can sell it in different cans and stuff. But same exact stuff as the car stuff. And then it will come with liquid hardener. And you can also buy bigger tubes of this if you're doing bigger projects. So it's a two-part process. You got to put the putty out, then you mix in the liquid hardener into it, and then you got about, depending on the heat, probably about 3 to 5 minutes that you can actually work with it before it starts hardening up. So the key to this is to work fast, work smart. Don't go heavy layers in the beginning. Just, you know, get a nice skim coat and then do another skim coat, sand a little bit, see what's left, and go from there. So we're going to start mixing this together, and we'll get this spread for this gap here. So first part, open it up. It just looks like straight putty, and you can use a stick to get some out. Sometimes I just, especially if it's a brand new full can, just get, you know, some of it to come out. And you don't want a huge amount. You want maybe like a golf ball size, a little bit bigger to start with. A lot of times people just use too much, and that's where they run into a problem, is they're trying to spread too much in a short. My main goal right now is just do this little area where we join the two together. So you got the Bondo out, then you got the cream hardener. This sometimes will be red, and like I said, about a golf ball size, a little bit bigger, and then about a dime or a nickel size of the liquid hardener. And then you mix the two together. Now if you use the car one, it does it a little more white, or a little more red when you mix the two together. This one's like more of a white consistency. And just get it so it's all mixed together real good. And then you just want to skim coat. So the first thing to do is just really get some down into the crack between your two pieces that you're joining. So go ahead and just get some. And like I said, the key to this is moving at a good speed. And on your first one, you don't have to really go too crazy with it. And then what I like to do is just get yourself a nice batch of it and then do a nice fade across the whole thing. And I'm kind of pulling straight across at an edge. And what we're trying to do here is just feather the two pieces together. Now already, because it's so hot out here, I'm starting to feel it stick. So we got to move. And you don't want to leave big gobs of it either. So, and that's it. I can feel it hardening already, so I don't want to push it. We're just trying to get that first skim coat. And what I'll do in between these two is go ahead and sand it a little bit, and then do one more skim coat over that, and we should be good. Alright, I went ahead and sanded the Bondo that we already put on, and I know what you're saying. You're like, Jeff, there's hardly any Bondo left. That's what you want, though. I mean, you want this Bondo layer to be like as thin as a sheet of paper and over time. So that first one was pretty much just to fill in this whole groove right here. And then now what we're going to do is concentrate on just putting a whole layer, like I said, very thin, down about 2 inches on each side of the joint that we made. And that's just to feather in the original cabinet into the new piece of wood. Once you put the primer on it, a couple layers, and then you put the final color, you're not even going to see this anymore. It's going to look like one piece. So we're going to do the same process all over again. Get your Bondo open. And like I said, you can use a stick to pull some of it out. When it's a brand new can, it just kind of globs out. And we're working with about a golf ball size. Like I said last time, that's not a pterodactyl in the background. We actually have chickens. We live on a farm out here in South Carolina. So we got our applicator tool, we got our cream hardener, about the size of a dime. I'm going to go a little less this time because of the heat. It cured up so quickly. And then you want to go ahead and just mix those two together. Just get the creamer in there. Spread real thin. And then go ahead and build up about that much onto your applicator. And just lightly spread it down the whole line. You don't want to leave big globs like that because you'll be sanding for 2 hours trying to get that off. So just go all the way to the edge and give yourself a nice amount to expand the gap all the way down. I want to show you how to fix an edge. If you look in here, this edge is all chewed up. So I already hit that with liquid hardener. So the way I do it is I just kind of scrape down on the edge for whatever part I want to repair. So you just get some on there. I know it looks weird because it's all just building up like a big goopy mess. And with this, you got to work quick as well. So once you get a section of it, then come back and just spread it and fade it. And then if it drops, it drops. And then come back on your edge here. And you're not trying to get it perfect, because you can get it perfect with the sander. You're just trying to build up a nice square edge that you can work with, that you can shape with the sander as you do it. So we'll go ahead and sand this, and we'll make a nice square edge. And we'll get that off there. It's already drying up too quick. Like I said, it's a hot day. We're in the sun. South Carolina, it's getting dry really quick. But this section's good to go. And we'll just sand it square this way. We'll sand it square that way. And you have a nice brand new factory edge that will hold up for you. Okay, there she is. We got the brand new bottom on. Everything's faded. Every edge is cleaned up for the most part. Nice and straight, nice and sharp. I went ahead and rebuilt that back corner. Filled in the side holes. So we're looking in pretty good shape to go ahead and get this thing primered. You can kill yourself going to every little tiny nook and cranny of this thing, trying to make it perfect, which I do, but at some point you got to call it and go ahead and get the primer on, because once you get the primer on it, you'll actually see some imperfections that you didn't even notice before. So once you get it to where all the big stuff is gone, then you can go ahead and get some primer on it, and then it will show you all the little tiny things. And I normally go back one last time with Bondo and go ahead and clean that all up. I did the bottom edge, rebuilt that. That's nice and sharp. Faded it to where the new wood meets the old wood on the cabinet on both sides. So that should be seamless. So we're going to go ahead and get some primer on this. Gonna wrap it up for now. This is it after 2 coats of paint, and it's looking good. We did a lot of work on this thing so far. Showed you how to replace the panel. It looks really good. I don't really see the line. I mean, you can see the color difference, but once, you know, another coat or 2 of primer on it, we got 2 on it so far. I'll probably put 3 or 4 just to make sure nice even coverage. You got to do that sometimes when you add new wood because they're different colors. But looks good. Front edge looks really good. This side looks amazing as well. Can't really see our seam at all. Like I said, there might be a couple of touch-ups for Bondo here or there, but overall I'm really happy with the way this thing is looking. And next time we'll go over sanding the primer. We'll be doing that with 320 grit with the orbital, and then we're going to start applying paint to get that Nintendo finish. So that's going to be it for now. And there's Arcade Cat Benson just chilling. Yeah, go to bed. You didn't do any of the work. But we'll be back with you guys next time. Thanks for watching.